Okay, we're on to season 6 of Game of Thrones, and we are now officially into virgin territory because this season wraps up what little was left of the fourth and fifth books and now starts tackling the sixth, and as of when I'm recording this, incomplete book, so they definitely had to rely on little bits of details that Martin told them about this book, and a lot of what they did makes sense, but there were bits in there that I didn't really feel made sense at the same time. Although, to be fair, maybe a little bit of it is because of future plot points that have yet to be revealed. Because I'll tell you right now, I really did not get why we were spending so much time focusing on the Faith of the Seven, that storyline bit, and then getting the last remaining child of Cersei and Jaime converted over to that faith, along with the girl that was originally supposed to be married to Robert's gay brother, but then goes off to the kid who this girl, she hasn't been featured that much lately, and then all of a sudden she just changes her mind, completely forgiving them for what they've done to her brother, who is gay, was that Robertson's gay brother's lover. So I just did not get the whole point of doing all of that, but then showing what was done right at the end of the season, that justified it in my mind, because they're a new player that's introduced kind of suddenly, even though I could have sworn I saw a bit of it last season. New player to be suddenly introduced in there, and then all of a sudden, taken out of the equation. Okay, yeah, so there is that angle that they could be going. Sorry that I had to give that long explanation, but it was the only way to justify what I was thinking of. Okay, so now, officially getting into where I feel where we stand with everybody. So, Daenerys, I'll start with her. Again, although I bet I'm going to be saving her for later, starting next season. Interesting reversal of situation where previously it was her adapting to the Dothraki, and that seems to be her situation at the beginning of the season, but by mid-season, it's the other way around. She's getting the Dothraki to adapt to her. Back to square one, but even better! That was impressive, although I bet if the actual book had been written, I think they would have done a little bit better job of giving us faith in the Dothraki after what happened and such. I just feel like that if Martin had officially written the book, it would have gone a little bit better in my mind, because yeah, definitely this season it felt like that they were trying to do just a little bit too much, I think. But who knows, maybe I'm just complaining about nothing, again, as I've already mentioned. Then she goes back to Marine, and then joins with even more allies there, because getting bits where Tyrion starts talking to the others. Well, it's good that he got that experience on his own, because it was to, showcase that he's truly with them. Yeah, it didn't really work out so well, but you gotta remember, they're talking about multiple groups of people that they're trying to keep together in order to make the pitch that we're going to handle Westeros. But Daenerys, for the past few seasons, she hasn't had the amount of allies to mount an attack on Westeros, but now that she has the Dothraki, the Unsullied, what's his face, the guy that clearly is in love with her, and that she admits that she has some feelings too, but it may or may not be as good as she thinks she is. And then with Theon and his sister, between all those groups, now she's got the army, and now she's finally making the voyage across the sea to really go after Westeros, and it's just crazy how they still don't know about her. Like, they talked about her in the first season, and then, like, a throwaway line in season 2, and even though a couple bits related to, Daenerys' friend, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, even though it's, like, Jordan. I know that's not his real name, but it's close to that. That, like, he was actually mentioned at one point, although I think it was, the bald, guy who's been helping Tyrion this whole time, that mentioned it, and yeah, it's just crazy how the warlords are still fighting each other, and yet the real enemy is coming across the sea to them, even though we still got to see what the White Walkers are going to do. And that would actually be in Daenerys' best interest, actually, to forget about the warlords and let them keep fighting each other, go to Jon, and everyone in the north, help them defeat the White Walkers, and then they can finish out the warlords, who should be like nothing by that point. At least, that's the benefit of hindsight. Of course, they don't know anything about that, yeah. But it's finally happening. Yeah. The real enemy is coming to Westeros. And then as for Daenerys' friend there, after showing that he's infected, the dragon scale thing, that he needs to leave, yeah, Daenerys is commanding him, get yourself fixed. Nah. I don't see any way that they can bring him back at this point. I think we're done with him. It's a bummer, but, he was able to finally admit to Daenerys how he really feels, but he knows that he can't stay now, so that gives him the ability to do it, because there's no consequence. And even the guy, you can tell that the way he's looking at, not Jordan, but, you know who exactly I'm talking about. Again, I know everyone's face, and I know the relations to each other, but some of these names I still can't remember. But the way that they're looking at each other, now there's respect between them. They knew that they were after the same thing, but he's, leaving for not exactly respectable causes, but it's still the right thing to do in his situation. But he got what he wanted. He won Daenerys' respect back. And that's enough for him. He always said he was willing to lay down his life for her. Well, he technically has. So that was a great way to send him off. And I was sad to see him go, but good job, Martin, really. Because he definitely planned that out. 100%. Okay, so that takes care of Daenerys' bit. Now to talk about the North and all the stuff that's going on there. Well, it was finally a sigh of relief, to give Sansa some relief. Because, Arya technically has had moments where she's in much less danger over the past few seasons, but Sansa, it's just been one bad person manipulating her versus another, but then she finds Jon, and finally she's effectively safe. So, thank God for that. She really deserved that. Totally. Although, of course, there is the slight, it's not distrust between them, but how she and Jon both approach things. Like, they want the same thing. They want all the bad people in the North exterminated, and then the White Walkers defeated. Sure, Sansa hasn't seen a White Walker, but she knows from all the tellings of everyone, yeah, they're telling the truth. If giants beyond the wall are real, is it really that crazy to believe the White Walkers are also real? Yeah, they're real, come on. But yeah, it's not that the two of them distrust each other, even though they literally say the words, need to learn how to trust each other. It's just, how would they approach things? It's totally different, because John's looking at it more from a battle standpoint. Sansa's looking at it from, I know these people. You gotta go after them the correct way. It makes complete sense. So it goes to show you that even though she's finally with good people, does that mean that everything's going to be easy for her? Oh, no, 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 no. Alright. And then bringing back Rickon and that girl that looks like Helena Bonham Carter but isn't. Since, well, it was nice to see them again, but in hindsight it was way obvious that they were going to get killed off because, I mean, the only times we ever see Rickon is when he's with Bran. Because again, when the Lannisters and the Starks first meet each other back in Season 1, I don't think Rickon was there. I don't recall seeing him at all. So, just, and Ramsay there, just killing Rickon, like, that was so obvious, although I really do not think that he was trying with those first couple of arrows. And then Sansa having to use Baelish in order to help them win that battle. Well, it was kind of obvious, but at the same time, Baelish did actually want to help, but only so that he could get into a better position to get to the throne and all. And it's just like, dude, you're at least twice Sansa's age. Just get over yourself, okay? You're chasing a pipe dream that is impossible at this point. Just dude. And like, seriously, they don't even need him anymore. Alright? Everyone has, in the northern regions at the end of this season, has pledged their allegiance to Jon Baelish. Yeah, he's going to be manipulating, what's that kid's face? It's the cousin to Sansa, right? Because if her mother was the Moon Door Queen's sister, so the aunt, cousin, although she and Jon, I think, are cousins, aren't they? Yeah, because if it's Ned Stark's sister that is actually Jon's mother, then that does make them cousin, or at least half cousins. Okay, enough with the half. We'll forget the half. It's not worth thinking about it unless it's direct siblings, or, in my mind, that is way too complicated, so forget about the half. So that does make sense as to why Ned Stark never told Jon about who his mother was, because, it was his sister, but that means that he's been lying. Wait, does that mean? No, there is no way that he impregnated his sister, because the way that he was looking at his sister in that vision that Bran was seeing, no, no way, yeah. And why would the sister say Robert can't know if, well, actually she might say that, but just, yeah. So what I'm gathering is that it seems like actually Jon's father is not Ned Stark after all. He just pretended to be. Okay, and that also does make sense why they were always being so, not shady, but not wanting to fully discuss his sister, so that does explain things a lot more, but so then who's Jon's real father then? Because I really do not think it's Ned Stark, so who's his real father? Because if it was Ned Stark, we would have known that, and since his sister was telling Ned not to tell Robert, who was in love with her, that means it's definitely not Robert, so who else is there? I don't even know why I'm asking this, because I bet I'm going to figure that out by the time I've uploaded this. Well, it goes to show you, this thing's got a complicated world build, although I really admire Martin for making it this detailed. Yeah, just whoa, but so getting back to Jon and Sansa there, it looks like now with Ramsay out of the picture and Arya killing whoever the heck it was that killed Rob and Jamie doing whatever the heck it was at that other castle there, seems like almost all the bad guys have really been taken care of in the north because Theon and his sister they want to help Daenerys, but it's more of keep Westeros away from our bits, and we're just going to continue living our lives out. So, yeah, it seems like now just about every bad guy is gone from the north, except, well, all the people that Jamie's aligned with, because there's other players in there I just can't keep track of who's who, because, yeah, this is the first season, and now I'm having trouble keeping track of who is aligned with who. Yes, what happened in the finale did remove at least some of those people, so it's going to be a little easier going forward, I think, but I'm not so sure about that. I'll find out, yeah. Alright, so, yeah, so Jon and Sansa, they've got a really good chance of being able to handle this, but of course the White Walkers are a much greater threat than anything else that they fought this whole time. Alright, okay. Theon, his sister, it was nice that they brought her back and they fixed him up, because, yeah, Theon is messed up, but now he's fighting for the right cause, helping his sister out, gaining independence for his islands. Yeah, they still have to deal with, I think, everybody that was trapped there, you know, their uncle and such, after they abandoned them, because I don't think that character came back, or if he did, he's one of the people that would be aligned with Jamie, But yeah, they're gonna take care of that uncle, no problem, I think, unless he's aligned with Jamie. But even then, it would be a situation where actually the uncle would be bossing Jamie around, even though on paper it should be the exact opposite. So maybe they're still trapped there. Because I definitely think Martin would have written that bit where Theon and his sister abandoned them all, but what does he do after that? That's what I want to know, yeah. Okay, who else is there to mention? Okay, so I'll touch upon Jamie and Bronn there. I'm really struggling to figure out exactly what the goal was. Yeah, they wanted to use House Tully to go against House Frey, who I think is the person that Arya kills right at the end but I don't know. I'm having trouble remembering these guys' motivations in this season. Once they come back with Jamie's dead daughter, and now all their kids are dead because, yeah, that wimp kid took his life because I guess he just couldn't deal with the politics of just all these warlords against each other, and just he felt it was just all chaotic. Yeah, I knew that that kid was just right. Yeah, he's a better person than Joffrey, but Joffrey at least was willing to try and do things, but of course he was still just a boy. Yeah, you cannot put someone that young as king and then expect them to make rational decisions. You just can't. It's gotta be somebody that's old enough. Right. And then at the end of the season, Cersei having apparently orchestrated that whole bit with the wildfire to kill everyone that was that was against her at some point. Although she was disappointed when her son died, but not nearly as disappointed as you would have thought, because now that she is in charge of King's Landing, albeit it's just King's Landing, and whoever the heck Jamie has under his command, which I don't think is that many people at this point, although given how many heads of families got killed in this season, maybe. But, so now, turns out she has what she wanted the whole time. It's she's in charge. Yeah, she lost all of her kids, although I think she only really is not sorry about the kid that just died. The other two, oh yeah, she's sorry, but yeah, sorry, allergies are driving me nuts. I'm recording this at 4 in the morning because I'm so congested I can't sleep. I know without even trying it's not going to happen, but yeah. So she's in charge now, and that's going to make her and Jamie kind of all the bad guys again, because Jamie, it's been sympathetic towards him for a while now, but now I'm a little less sure, especially since Lady Brienne and the squire that are attached to her, they did actually have one last interaction with him where it definitely seemed like the two of them can no longer support each other, and Brienne did indicate, yeah, if things with the remaining Lore Lords work a certain way, we're going to be going against each other. And Jamie said, well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Nah. But you could tell he doesn't expect them to ever be working with each other again. No. So, So let's see if they go back to being the true bad guys in this equation again, or if something else happens. Because now they're running out of opposition in Westeros. Now they're pretty much down to Jon. If he chooses to go against them, he will. He will. I mean, why wouldn't he? Yeah. They did kill the person that he thought was his father. After all, in reality, it was his uncle. But right, so yeah, so there's Jon, Daenerys, who will be against him, the White Walkers, who don't give a crap, and yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about Bran and Arya. So Bran, well, that's tough, dude, knowing that you were responsible for Hodor completely there. That's rough, but I wonder what he's going to do with that bit of knowledge about Jon, because he's closer to Jon than any other main character, so this is going to have to come to play eventually. And then Arya, I don't really get why she decided to go rogue from that organization, but I guess she has her reasons. I guess she just wanted to learn really how to execute everyone on her list after all. So that's both good and bad, because if I recall correctly, at least one of the people on her list has actually been killed by somebody that isn't her. So, yeah, gotta figure that out. I'm glad that they reintroduced Jon's uncle character that was with the Night's Watch. He indicated that there was something different about him, but that might be explored in one of the remaining 2 seasons. So I don't. It's not that I want to know what happened to him after he said goodbye to Bran and the girl. It's more of what group is he part of that got him to behave like that. That's what I'd like to know. Oh yeah, and what the heck happened to Robert's bastard son, Giddy or whatever? He was on that boat rowing to somewhere, and we haven't seen him since. Like, what's up with that? It's been like 3 seasons. He should have resurfaced by now. He's a big character for the first couple seasons, and you just write him off? Because I don't think Martin would have overlooked something like that. Because if you were going to have that kid starve, you would have seen his boat with his corpse in it or something like that turn up somewhere. Yeah, so I wonder what the heck is up with that. But something tells me I'm not going to get a resolution on that one. Nah. So this season was tougher for me to watch because I got a little bit confused, but I feel enough power players have been removed, and I know I'm gonna learn a bit more about what Jamie's gonna do in the next season. That I bet that'll make up for it. I think. So, do I still have doubt about this show? It's changed. I don't have doubt that there's going to be a big payoff, but I do expect that the payoff is going to be a little weaker than I expect because now that I'm older, I have a total different look on things because okay, so when I was young, I used to watch the original Planet of the Apes movie a lot, and I found the movie to be kind of boring because it was just talk, 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 very little payout, and all that jazz. Now that I'm older, I realize that the talking is the main strength of the movie. It's not supposed to be a fighting movie, it's supposed to be a philosophical movie. Yeah. Well, I feel like the dynamic of people arguing with each other in this show is actually going to be better written in hindsight than seeing the payout. I really do think that's going to be the case. Not to say that I might not like the payout, and the payout might throw a couple of surprises at me. It's possible. So yeah, I have doubts that I'm going to enjoy the payout as I have for the rest of the show, but I do think that I am going to enjoy it. The main thing that I doubt is just how much of the little twists in this season were things that Martin would have approved of or still would approve of, because yes, he's executive producer for this show, but as I mentioned in one of the other videos, executive producer can go from having a lot of influence to not having much influence at all. And you gotta remember, they made this season like 2016 or something like that. It's now 2024. Alright, Martin's had almost a decade to revise the book that was supposed to have been written when this season came out. So, huh? But I did see this odd comment that was on a video where he and Stephen King were doing a Q&A with each other, more or less, and someone in the comments pointed out Stephen King, he has a lot of original ideas, so he's able to churn them out quite easily. Martin, he started this out seemingly as like a fun project that just gradually got more and more attention, and with more pressure on him, suddenly it's not as fun. I'd actually agree with that comment. I think part of the reason that he hasn't finished the books yet is because he's simply less interested in writing that particular story, and he wants to write other stories. Can't totally blame him, though it's a bummer that it might not get finished. So I know that this wasn't the most organized video, but yes, it is past 4 o'clock in the morning, and since we're getting closer to the payouts, we gotta analyze people a little bit more, I think. Alright, 2 seasons to go, which should represent what is supposedly the last book of this story, because yeah, you wouldn't have had Daenerys make the sail from the other land to Westeros a little bit into the last book. No, you would have that be the end of the penultimate volume. It's just the perfect ending for it. Let's see what happens.